Today we interview Michael Tejada, a New Jersey-based real estate agent who shares his struggle when he became a real estate agent and how he overcame those struggles by just sheer determination. Let's go ahead and check it out. Welcome everyone to another episode of Industry Icons. Today I'm joined with Michael Tejada, a 6-year veteran of the real estate industry, and today he's going to tell us all his insights on how he became a top producer and how you can do the same. So Michael, please introduce yourself to our audience.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Michael Tejada. I'm team leader of the Tejada Real Estate Group at RE/MAX Select in Westfield. It's going to be 6 years in September. I got my license September 2014.
So how old were you when you got started in this business?
22.
Okay.
I was 22, and
oh, you're a baby still, man.
Yeah, I was 7 months to be 23.
Okay. No, you started at the same age as I did.
Yeah.
22 years old.
Yeah, that's I would say one of the better. I mean, you could start at any time, obviously. But I think that being that I started earlier, my mind was more molded in the whole development process of. I was still in the development process of my life, and kind of just got fully submerged into real estate. So
what did you do before real estate? I mean, what led up to this decision that you jumping into this career?
So I used to the career previously, right before real estate, I used to sell cable. I used to knock doors on people's houses in some of the worst areas that you could think of. Okay. And
not Westfield.
No. Actually, one of the first cable jobs I started was with Verizon. I knocked in like Maplewood. That was nicer, some nicer areas. I was making very little money, and the way I got into that was kind of just, it wasn't something I wanted to do, basically.
But did you have any fear going into the door knocking?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I didn't want to. I always wanted to. I always had a pressure of basically like finishing school and going the traditional route of getting a degree and then fighting for a job, and I never wanted to do that. It wasn't in, it was what my mom wanted for me. What everyone pretty much praised was to finish school, but it's just something that really didn't interest me much. It kind of just transitioned into I really wanted money more quickly, and I was willing to do certain things that a lot of people are not willing to do for money. Ever since I was younger, I would always just do like small little side jobs, even in high school. To like, I would just like, when they started coming out with ripped jeans, I would rip people's jeans and like put bleach on them, and
so you would make them all
like,
cool.
Yeah, like Hollister jeans type of thing. So I always had this like kind of hustler mentality in me from a younger age. So I got into how I got into the cable thing. It was something that I felt I could make a little bit more money, or sounded like I would be sitting at a desk, which was what my parents, my mom and her husband did, was sit at a desk and make a pretty good living. Sure. So I felt that I kind of wanted to do something like that. So I went after the first jobs that looked like said marketing on it. And then you know how those like sales companies are, they never want to tell you what it really is. Sure. Because if they tell you what it is, then no one's ever going to apply. So it was this place called the Marketing Professionals, where I thought I would be like sitting behind a computer sending emails or something. And I went to the interview. At first, even at the first interview, they didn't even tell me what it was. They were just like, you're going to be able to make, I forget how much. That was a lot more than I was making at that time. Yeah. So I said, all right. And they said, all right, come back another day, and you're going to follow this other guy around and see what he does. So I said, all right, whatever. I was willing to pretty much do like mostly anything.
Anything legal.
Yeah. So I came back the next time to follow this guy around, and I always remember it was this big Asian guy. He was like really fit, very, very outgoing. And this whole time I just started getting this feeling that I was going to be out knocking doors.
Uh-huh.
And I always was thinking, like, I'll do anything besides knock doors, you know? Anything. And quickly enough, we start driving, and I start asking him where we're going. He's like, don't worry about it.
It's like training day.
So I'm like, shit, I know we're going to knock doors, man.
Uh-huh.
So we get to knock doors. We get to the first street, and I'm like, oh, my God. So I'm supposed to follow him around. I followed him to the first door. Little by little, I started getting, while he started going to the next doors, I would get farther away from the door, every door. Like the first time I was right by the step with him. The next time I was just like halfway down the sidewalk. And then by the last door, I was just standing at the street.
You're like in the
I'm
car.
done.
Like, yeah, I can see you go.
Yeah. And then I'm like, oh my God. What am
Yeah,
I
because two
doing?
big brawly guys at your front door, I don't think you want to open up.
Yeah.
It's probably
So
a
I was
good
like, what
approach.
am I doing right now?
Yeah, so then what actually triggered you to say, you know, enough of this stuff? Let me look into real estate. Did someone put a bug in your ear, or did you kind of read another ad?
So basically, I always attached myself to the people that were doing best in selling cable. A couple of people in that
Space.
industry, actually right now are like top agents right now, realtors, and they were always part-time selling cable and doing real estate. So once they started lowering the commissions there at that cable company, I just did the next best thing was to ask the people that were doing better than me, what should I do right now?
What's the next move?
Yeah. So I took a break from the cable. I got my real estate license. I pretty much cashed out my entire 401k that I had because I was still living check to check.
Yeah.
So I cashed out the 401k, got my real estate license, and then I still tried to sell cable and real estate
At the same time.
while working with George. Once I got my license, the first person I worked with, I sold them a house within like about a week or so.
Nice.
And then but I was scared. I was still scared. I was like, look, you know, I can't do this full time. I need to have a check.
You need the security.
Like, yeah, I need to have a check every week. So I kept doing the cable for a while until that actually got released from that job, and I searched for other cable jobs, and until that just led to a dead end, and I was like really fucked, I would say.
Yeah.
With my back against the wall, and I was check to check with no checks. So and I had my real estate license, and it was with George, and one of the things that I would say got me to being very successful and just being able to produce a lot more than a lot of people in a short amount of time was that I'm very competitive in nature, and I don't like asking people to help me. So I never wanted to. I moved out of my house when I was young, but I never wanted to move back. So I never wanted to ask I never wanted to ever ask her again to move back into her house. I never wanted to ask her for anything at all because she just did a lot for me when I was younger.
Yeah. So you had to find a way.
Yeah. So I went to my broker and George Castro, and I literally actually went to his house and I was crying. I always remember.
It's a good story, man.
Yeah.
Continue.
I was crying and I was like, George, what do I do? I just had so much pressure. I had recently moved in with a past girlfriend. I didn't want her to know anything.
Yeah.
I was like, I just got to make this happen. So I was like, George, what do I do? And George said, look, if I were you, number one, don't get desperate. Because once you start getting desperate, everyone's going to see it. They're going to see that you're just trying to make money rather than actually help them, which is how you're supposed to, how you're going to be able to serve as more clients is by showing them that you really care about them instead of your own pocket.
Of course.
And basically what he told me to do was he said you're going to want to start focusing on making some money short term and making some money while still putting in the real estate deal. So if I were you, I would go and rent as many apartments as possible. That was about getting to January, like December, January 2014, right, a few months after I'd gotten my license. He gave me, I was just about the hungriest person you could ever think of.
Yeah. You do anything.
Yeah, he had a stack of leads like this that were like months old. I literally called every single one. Nobody ever wanted to do that. Some of them were even 6 months old buyers. Now everyone's are looking for like the lead from like minutes ago or whatever. But I ended up calling the older ones and selling a few houses that month. Aside from putting 6 contracts together, I had listed 11 rentals.
Nice.
And I was calling. I found out the newspaper schedule, and I would buy the newspaper and call all the landlords. And basically that's one of the easier pitches you could have, honestly, to list a rental, and it gets you a lot of experience with the paperwork, because it's the same as listing a house aside from the one MLS sheet. So I did that with the rentals. I started making probably just about enough to pay my rent while I was waiting for
the bigger stuff to close.
And the crazy part was in January, those 6 houses that I put together, in February, 5 of them died.
That's real estate. That is real estate, man. You couldn't have said it any better.
So I think at that point was when my hair started falling out.
Yep.
So I'm like, shit.
I've had plenty of those months. Yeah. No,
yeah, 5 of them. And it was like, I'm so happy that it happened that way. And I got all of that pressure out of in the start.
Yes.
Because
you're not alone.
It was like, it kind of told me, because when I got those 6 contracts, I was like, all right, look.
You counted that money.
I think
already.
I can maybe like slow down a little bit. And then once they all died, basically, except for one, I was like, all right, I gotta start having like 10 or 15
in order to close half of them, or a quarter of them.
Yeah, so I would just literally work around the clock. I pretty much should have had a bed at that office, because I would be there from like 8 in the morning until whatever time. Yeah. Like 11 at night, 12. I had the keys to the office, so I would routinely just be closing it.
Yeah. So that taught you a lot.
Yeah.
So that's what set the tone for your career from there.
Yeah. It pretty much, in the first year I sold about exactly 20 houses.
That's an amazing first year.
Thank you. I sold 20 houses.
I made 20,000 my first year.
Yeah.
That's like 3 houses. So, no, that's really good, man. That's amazing. So tell me how you stepped into the leadership position. You're a team lead now, right? You have people that work with you. How was that transition from just being an agent who was basically doing all himself to now bringing other people and seeing the fear that you had in them initially? Yeah. And how do you overcome that, with the lessons you learned?
Right. So the funny thing is, almost everything that I did, wasn't something that I was planning to do. It was just something that I just was really open to.
Yeah, it's like.
And I'm always open to hearing ideas and stuff. And a good friend of mine, he got into the business. I won't say any names just for that sake, but a good friend of mine got into the business, and he was asking me for help a lot, and I didn't really even think of the concept of joining a team. I just said, I'll help you out. And but I had my own business going on. Yeah. So then he said, he kind of didn't want to bother me as much. So he would go and ask the people that are supposed to be helping a new agent at the office. And they were just like, they would kind of just like blew him off, or they were like,
too busy.
Not, they're not really trying to help him out with it. So I felt the need to help him somehow, but I didn't want to. He was like, he would offer me he would say, look, I'll pay you in cash just to help me out. And I was like, you know what, instead of me doing that, why don't you pay me in cash? Why don't we'll work out something out with the split that you have. You could stay how you have it, but we'll join a team. That way, everything that I help you out with, it's gonna come to me instead of cash. It'll come to me in the way that the team structure is. So we did that, and he started doing very well. I saw that. I saw the potential in number one, recognizing talent in myself, and number two, the potential in that there is for being a team leader and just showing people and the agent the ropes.
It's fulfilling.
Fulfilling one, to see basically someone come out and be very successful from things that you've taught them, and then number two, it's also financially lucrative as well to help agents out. So I took a few other agents. I don't have a huge team, but because I'm very hard on myself, and in turn I'm also slightly hard on others.
As you should be.
Yeah. So I try to make sure that whatever agent I take is going to have a certain quality. But I did see that, and through the humility of that agent that started with me, I realized that that's the best way to go. I realized that I prevented for him certain mistakes that if that would have been done for me, I would have, like, I always think about it, like those 5 deals that I lost in January. Yeah, I probably would have lost maybe like 2 of them or 3, sure. Just because I didn't, at that time I was so desperate that I just pushed certain deals to the point where they should not have been pushed to, and I lost the clients that I was working with.
I get it.
Where now, being that I went through that, I was able to give certain advices to the agents that started with me that I think really helped them lose a lot less transactions in the start. So I still have 3 agents now. Good. I'm always looking to hire, but I try to hire like 1 at a time.
Quality, right?
Yeah, 1 at a time, because I think the most important thing is for them to spend as much time with me as possible. Sure. In the first couple of months, because that's how you really kind of go on a fast track to learning everything you need to.
They have to be with you.
Is actually being there. There's a lot of classes you can go to that are definitely going to help you out, but when you see the engagements and conversations in live, you kind of learn a little bit better, I would say.
Good.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give an agent who is starting off? Because obviously you've been through it. What would you say, like, this is what you need to do in order to be able to succeed? Is it more of a mental thing? Is it more of like a practical thing? Can you give us some words that maybe would help somebody out?
Yeah. I would say, number one, the business is not for everyone. All right.
Amen.
Yeah. So yeah. It's absolutely not for everyone. I know you'll see a lot of people getting their license now, but it's definitely not for everyone. And I think that you really have to look at yourself and see the type of person you are. I think you have to have a certain level of, the way I look at it is there's like kind of 2 ways that you really like come in and like just burst in this business is. And I couldn't, it's not that I'm 100% right. There could be other people that end up coming in and being very successful. But I think the way that the type of people that come in and become very successful in a short amount of time is either, one, that they are very competitive.
Yes.
And they don't like to see people doing better than them. So not to say that you're like an envious person, but you just kind of grew up in a way that you don't like to lose. Yeah. And when you lose, it's like, how do I not lose next time?
How do I get better?
Yeah. You always have to. I would say my best advice would be to not take how do I transition that to maybe so it doesn't seem like certain people are excluded is you should always you should be ready to take lots of no's. You should be ready to lose clients, and you shouldn't look at it as you're not worthy of being a realtor because you failed in that way. You should look at it as, okay, I got through that part. Got through that experience. Now I know what to do next time I run into that, and just really focus on understanding that no one's ever gonna make the right decision every single time. You're never gonna have the best outcome every single time. But once you go into with that mentality, you know that those are the things you have to go through to become.
So be prepared for mistakes.
Better. Exactly.
Yeah. Got it. Okay, Mike. So what does the future have in store for Michael Tejada and the Tejada Group?
So I'm looking to. I'm always looking to, like this year, I'm looking to double our production.
Can you give us an idea of what a person of your caliber or a team of your caliber does in volume, more or less, so people so they can compete against you?
Yeah, last year we did just in between 25 and 26 million between 4 agents.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and I'm always looking down on myself.
It's pretty good.
So it's like
it's all right. You guys did as much as a lot of real estate companies do. Yeah, that's good, man. Well, don't ever settle, for sure.
Yeah.
So what are you doing this year?
About 80 transactions this year. The goal is to reach 200 transactions.
200, so more than double.
Yeah, and we're trying to get to 50 million.
50 million.
Yeah, so about doubling.
What's been the secret for you guys? What's worked the most that has helped you do business?
I would say what's worked the most is the accountability of us working together.
Sharpening each other.
Yeah, I would say the accountability of. I know when I was on my own, I kind of at some point I would.
Slack off.
I would slack off just because I kind of felt like I've got a little bit complacent, and you know the human mind tends to get complacent naturally.
It's that little voice in your head.
So I think us being together, just and the accountability when we're always on top of each other, like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, you know, why haven't you made this call, or why, or vice versa. Even they'll talk to me saying, like, you know, I'll have my agents call me and say, what are we doing today?
Sure.
So it keeps you. It keeps you going, basically.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I would say.
Good. So if an agent out there that's watching, or maybe someone who's interested in getting into real estate, how can they get in touch with you?
Anyone, you can feel free to reach out to me. I'm always open to meet with new agents or even experienced agents that feel they need a little bit more volume. We do produce a lot of opportunities within the Tejada Real Estate Group in our office at RE/MAX. So you can feel free to contact me at my cell phone. It's 908-514-3466. We'll say it again just like we always do in our voicemails. It's 908-514-3466. You can feel free to reach out to me.
Can they follow you on social media?
My handle on Instagram is Tejada Real Estate Group. No spaces, no periods or anything, just Tejada Real Estate Group. And you can send me a message there, or just I just started building my LinkedIn profile and Facebook. So those are just my first and last name, which is Michael, Michael, and then Tejada, Tejada. And you can reach out to me by either message on either of those Instagram profile platforms, or by direct cell phone, text message or phone call. Send
a carrier pigeon, whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
All right.
Appreciate for being on the show today. And thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to go follow Michael, and also hit the subscribe, share, like button, comment. Any questions you may have for Michael or myself. Thank you once again for watching. See you next time.